Hello, and welcome back to Watermelon Week in my North Carolina garden. All this week, I'm sharing ways to use the entire watermelon so you can get the most out of your harvest. Today, I'm sharing a recipe for watermelon fruit roll-ups. First, you're going to separate the pink flesh of the watermelon from the rind with a large spoon and remove all of the seeds. Scrape all the pink flesh from the rind and keep the pink flesh and the juice together. You're going to give it a quick blend in the blender and then strain the pureed fruit through a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth, reserving the juice for drinking later and making cocktails and mocktails. Use a spoon to help separate the juice from the pulp. The pulp is going to have an applesauce consistency, like watermelon sauce. I'm adding to this pulp a little bit of turbinado and a little bit of fresh lemon juice. I'm going to give that a good stir. These fruit roll-ups are one of the few ways I've found to turn watermelon flesh into a shelf-stable product. If you know of some other recipes, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to set my oven to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, soak parchment paper in water for 30 seconds, and then wring it out and lay it flat onto a baking sheet. Then I'm going to pour our puree mixture onto the baking sheet. Shake that out just a little bit to evenly distribute it. Shake it out a little bit more. And then I'm going to use a wooden spoon to prop open the oven door just a crack to help release moisture so the food dehydrates. These will stay in the oven for 4 to 8 hours or until they feel less tacky to the touch and more like fruit leather. Then you get to cut them into long strips, and this is really satisfying. The parchment paper had gotten a little brittle, so I decided to cut some fresh parchment paper strips to lay these on, which will also help for storage. I'm cutting off the tails of these little strips and placing the fruit roll-ups in an airtight storage container. And here's the second batch coming out of the oven. You can see it's still dry to the touch, but it's still flexible. So you don't want it to dry out to the point that it's too stiff to roll. Here I am rolling one of these strips onto fresh parchment paper. I think the extra paper on the sides will help these from sticking to each other in storage. And here is the end result. A watermelon fruit roll-up. These are definitely a sweet treat and a great way to help me fill my pantry with this summer's harvest. These can be made with lime juice and tajin, or you can use honey in place of sugar. They remind me of Thai tamarind candy, so maybe that's a flavor to explore in future versions. Let me know in the comments how you're preserving your harvest. See you next time.